Snap. I think I'm live. There we go. I am indeed live. Alright. Fucking sweet. How's everyone out there? As you can probably hear, stumbling around, I've got a special guest today. Yeah. I brought the dog in here because she's just gonna bark otherwise. She's not usually allowed in this room, so she's kind of exploring around. I'll give it a minute for some people to start showing up. Come here. Come here. Come on. Hey, come on. Up here. There. Up here. Yeah. Come on. Come on. No? You want out? No? Alright. Come here. Come here. You just want to get out? Go. Alright. Just wait for some people to get in here. I guess I'll spread the link out again. Oh. At least I kind of figured out how to stream. That's a good thing, at least. What, you want to come back in now? Come on. Yeah, that's right. There we go. Come here. You're not even on screen. Look at you. You. That's Bear, everyone. Bear. You, Bear. Just waiting on some people to show up and we'll start. Look at the odds. What? What? What, you want to go back out now? Oh my god. Here, I'll just leave the door open. You can come and go as you please. Would you just want to be pet? Alright. God, she's needy. Let's see. No one's showing up yet. Man. You know? I think you can count on people. What are you doing? This was a mistake, wasn't it, Bear? This was a mistake, huh? Bring you in. Oh, man. So, yeah. As soon as we get some people in here, we'll start talking about some principles and modern discourse in general, I suppose. Let's see, we got a couple of people watching. There we go. Jake from Freedom Scoop is here. Come here, Bear. Come here. Jump up. Come here. Up. No, not sit. That's a different thing. Come here. There you go. Yep. This is the dog right here. She's adorable. Give her all your likes. Because she's so cute. Yeah. No, don't lick me. Don't lick me. I don't like that. But yeah, figured she could come on the stream for a few minutes too while we talk. Although she's not usually allowed in here, so she's, gonna be running around and stuff, sniffing at stuff, huh? Aren't you? Yeah. Yeah. Nice sister. She's slightly less hairy than I am. You know how that goes. Oh, Bear. Aww. Alright, get down. Go. You're dismissed. Hey. You're dismissed. Dismissed. Thanks. Alright, so yeah. I had the idea to talk about like principles and modern discourse because just earlier today, actually, I was on the old Boomer book and made the mistake of engaging in political discourse, and you know how that goes. That was obviously my mistake for doing so, but it was interesting, the exchange. And to be fair, the guy that I engaged with, like, he actually asked for it, because it was some Huffington Post article about how white supremacists were planning on using the coronavirus um, as like a bioweapon or some shit. Hey, Ron Helton, how's it going? And he said something like, "Yes, let's keep discussing why white nationalists should be protected by the First Amendment." And so I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's talk about that." And so I was trying to explain the difference between belief and action. And he kept bringing up, like, oh, so if there were some Muslims, that had like Al Qaeda gear on, you just assume that they're next door baking bread or something. And I'm like, well, it's none of my business, what they're doing over there, so long as they're not trying to commit any crimes. As long as they're not committing to action, they're entitled to whatever beliefs they want. And so, of course, come here, Bear. That obviously eventually led to me being unfriended and blocked. So, as these things normally go. And I think that usually means either they're done with the discussion, but I would think that you would just, stop replying. But maybe that has to do with pride, where people just say, oh, I'm just going to block you so I don't have to deal with you anymore, even though, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It doesn't matter why. But, yeah, it clearly meant that there was no further arguing. And it was really weird to me how someone couldn't understand the difference. You know what I mean? Like, I obviously I'm not a white nationalist. I don't like white nationalism as an ideology, but I also don't want them to be arrested or punished for just believing something. So, what do you guys think about that? Should people with beliefs that we don't like be arrested simply for having those beliefs, regardless of whether or not they take action? Because I mean, that seems like a pretty simple, principle to hold. Like the First Amendment is a solid principle. It really is. You're entitled to your beliefs so long as you don't harm someone else. Hey, what are you doing? Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on up. Bear. Come here. What are you doing? you just want scratches, huh? You just want pets? Alright. I'll just give you pets. So, bad actions, not bad words. Exactly. Yeah, you punish the action, not someone's words, or more importantly, someone's beliefs. But I don't know. For some reason, this guy just couldn't understand that. Regardless of, and that's what I said. He mentioned, if a bunch of the Aryan Brotherhood was meeting, next door to your house, and they, you're just gonna assume that they're in there playing video games or whatever. And I'm like, it's not my business what they're doing in there, so long as they're not trying to harm someone. Come over. Come on. And he was like, and so he responded to that with like, oh, well, what about Muslims and baking bread in their house? And I was like, see my above comment, and that was it. I was blocked after that. But so I wonder though, what is this thing about modern discourse where we just can't, like, first of all, you can't agree to disagree. Like that's impossible to do. Um, we can't, like, first of all, you can't end a conversation like amicably, right? It always has to end in someone getting called a Nazi or Hitler or whatever, racist usually. Um, and then it just kind of devolves into like now you have to defend yourself from being labeled that thing, and the whole conversation just falls apart. So I'm wondering if that's some kind of like pathology or if that's just like a tactic, like if it's a conscious decision to do that or not, to just kind of derail the conversation. So I wonder what your guys' thoughts on that is. You know, are we? Do you think that it's a conscious decision to derail the conversation, or is it something that just kind of happens due to not having an argument anymore? So I'll leave it to you guys. Make sure she's not eating something stupid. What are you doing? Yeah, you can leave. That's fine. What are you freaking out about? It's okay. It's okay, bear. Yeah, and so I've noticed a lot of other things too. When it comes to like online discourse, especially, but even in person, um, where people are just not able to see someone else's point of view. Like unless it's exactly like their own, they're not able to see where the person's coming from. And I just don't get that at all because I've done everything I can to understand other people's points of view. You know, steel manning, things like that. Bear, what are you doing? Come here. Anyway, so as most people know, I came from the left originally. Oh, here we go. Ron Helton says, when you don't have a winning argument or facts, slash and burn. I think it's a defensive mechanism that they trigger when they are losing. Right, but my question is that something that's conscious? Do they do that knowingly, or is it something that they just kind of do subconsciously? If that makes sense. Um, but yeah, so that's again that's something I've noticed that because I've tried to understand all points of view or as much as possible, right? Like I said, I've come from the left. My turn to libertarianism came from, and especially more right wing libertarianism came from learning about it. Came from wanting to understand what the other side, has to say. Same thing with atheism. I came to that when I was a Catholic, and I wanted to understand what the other side had to say. Now, there's obviously times where I'll learn about something and be like, well, that's fucking ridiculous, right? So it's not like I'm just being influenced by whatever the last thing I read was, the last thing I saw was, like with these conspiracy things. I love learning about conspiracy theories, but I don't believe most of them. Most of them are just too far fetched. There's not enough evidence for them, and the evidence that there is just circumstantial. But I love learning about it. So I don't know if it has to do with just most people not having the either like the intellectual integrity or the maybe just not the desire to learn about other points of view. I mean, I've read everything from the Communist Manifesto, the first volume of Das Kapital, um, the Conquest of Bread by Peter Kropotkin, the Antifa Handbook. I've read all these things, but they didn't just change my mind. What they did was just give me a better understanding of the ideology that we're facing. Same thing with books like Mein Kampf, right? I've read that. Didn't make me a Nazi, but I understand more the point of views that they were coming from. And I think that that equips at least me with being able to argue against those points of view better because I have an actual better understanding of them. And so I think that's kind of what's going on there. Uh, and again, so I'm just thinking out loud when I'm doing this. That's why I'm calling it, thinking out loud with John. Uh, this is kind of how I think things through, and I do a better job of it while I'm thinking out loud because I have a very like ADHD mind where it's like flipping through channels. You're just kind of watching something for a couple of seconds and you flip the next channel and you're watching that for a couple of seconds. That's how my mind works. I have a really hard time focusing on one subject for a long time. So, kind of speaking out loud really helps me keep the same train of thought for at least longer than I normally would. So, if I'm rambling or something, I apologize. That's just how my mind works. Um, but back to what I was saying about just understanding other people's points of view, and then the people who are not able to do that. And so I guess I just don't understand that mindset of just that closed mindedness of my side is right, I'm right. If you don't believe what I believe, then you must be wrong, even though I can't explain why. I guess that's where I'm getting at. Is that people just I don't know. I guess they're just locked in their own mindset. Let's see. We have some stuff in the chat here. Point of view based on feels is just a personal opinion should hold no weight. Absolutely. Some people hate to lose even when the facts are right in their face. I agree with that. I also hate to lose. And obviously, I'm not going to change my mind for like in the middle of a conversation with somebody, but it is something that I will think about and change later, which I guess is why I still, uh, which is why I guess I still engage with people online, even though there's really no point, or at least you can't see it. You can at least, you know, um, you can at least like plant the seed, I guess, to change someone's mind. Especially if you're not being all aggressive about it and calling them an idiot and stuff, because that does nothing for anybody. Let's see. You don't believe conspiracy theories? Wait, so you don't think JFK was killed by Hillary Clinton? I'm not saying I don't believe that. That's all I'm going to say. I like watching Ancient Aliens, but I don't think there are ancient aliens. Exactly, yeah. It's a really fun theory to entertain, but I don't think it's true, right? I love that kind of show. I love that show. I still watch it from time to time. I'll put it on. I think it's on Netflix or Hulu. It's one of those. I'll still put it on and watch it sometimes just because it's really interesting to see another perspective of the stuff that's been found, like whatever ancient shit, where they're like, look, this is obviously an astronaut. It's like a dude with like a bubble on his head and stuff. Um, it is really interesting to see those dots connected in a way that they weren't connected before. But that's exactly what I mean, right? I could just be like, oh, they're fucking idiots, or I could just be like, oh, wow, it must be true. But no, I mean, if you just put your little critical thinking hat on, you can entertain a theory or a story without necessarily believing it. And I guess what I'm talking about really is skepticism, which is something that is very old hat on YouTube. Um, no one really calls themselves skeptics anymore, and I don't use that label either. Uh, but skepticism is a useful tool when dealing with, any kind of set of new ideas, at least if they're new to you. Um, like I got into a discussion with someone in our Discord server last night in the middle of the night about like the 5G thing going around. I know some of you were there. I think Jake was there from Freedom Scoop. Um, okay, here we go. For someone to admit they are wrong about some belief that they have held for years or decades is a hard sell most of the time. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because no one wants their world to change. People don't really like change in that way because that means that you have to change yourself. Um, you have to change your belief, your long held beliefs, like you were saying, and you also have to change kind of yourself and how you act and how you respond to external stimuli. And that can be very, very difficult for people, especially the older they get, because just the longer you've held those beliefs, the harder they're to go, obviously. And especially if the changing of their stance means they have lost face or any gains that they perceive they have from their belief. Yeah, I mean that's just ego. And I 100% understand ego. I've got a pretty massive ego. Um, but I guess you have to counter that with honesty, at least to yourself. You don't have to tell others that you've changed your mind, at least until later, especially the people around you, especially coming from the left, where they'll just completely ostracize you from everyone that you know if you change your mind on something. So, I mean, yeah, you certainly have things to lose by changing your mind, I mean, I'm sure if I became, some kind of super lefty all of a sudden, and I told you guys on chat, most of our subscribers would probably leave. So, there's something to lose for sure, but I still think that, being intellectually honest, at least with yourself, is very important. And I think that's how uh, you kind of find the ideology that's right for you, in a way, or uh, at least the one that fits your principles best. And I think that might be also another thing is people not having principles or at least well thought out, ironed out principles. I think that can be an issue with people, that they just haven't really thought about what they believe. They believe like policy more than they would actually believe in principle. I think that can be very dangerous. Um, because I mean, so one of the big reasons I left the left or walked away from the left was their lack of like free speech principles. And I've always been a big free speech person. That's been one of my principles for as long as I can remember. And I couldn't, like, I was dealing with cognitive dissonance at the time, and I could not, reconcile the two. And so I was like, well, fuck that. This is obviously not the ideology for me. There were a lot of other problems, but that was the biggest one, was free speech. Because I'm a diehard free speech person. I do not want people to lose free speech. That's the cornerstone of at least Western civilization. That was another thing I couldn't agree with, was that all cultures are equal and that sort of thing. That was just something I could never get behind, because that's so obviously false, right? Some cultures are clearly better for others. I mean, if you look at how well a civilization is doing versus another civilization, you can see that their cultures are vastly different, and one is obviously superior. And that's not to say that, because a culture is just like a set of ideas, a set of principles, and obviously the art and media that are in that civilization. So it has nothing to do with the people themselves. Anyone can follow a culture. Anyone can be part of a culture. But I mean, it's obvious that there are some that are superior to others, and that's a simple fact. But as soon as you say that, right, it's always like, oh, well, you're just a racist because you don't think that this culture's better. Ron Helton's got to run. We'll finish watching when I get back. All right, man. Thanks for dropping by. We'll see you later. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from on that. I think the dog went outside. Nice. Hopefully she won't be barking then. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much what I have to say on that subject. I think. I hope I wasn't rambling too much. Hi. I'm streaming. Anyway, let's see. Is there anyone else? Anyone else want to say anything? But yeah, so let's look for solutions. Um, I don't know. How do you convince somebody that it's a good thing to talk to people that they don't agree with? Because I think that's one of the biggest issues, right? Is people are in echo chambers, and they don't feel comfortable leaving that echo chamber. Uh, hmm. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. It's a really tough one. I mean, that whole like debate me bro thing is pretty much over on YouTube, and I think that's a result of people just not wanting their views challenged. Like, see, the thing about me is I love that. I love having my views challenged, and that's how I've changed my mind throughout the years. So, yeah, I don't know how to convince other people to do it though. I don't know. Do you guys have anything? Any suggestions? I'll try and think of something, I suppose. Let's see. I mean, I guess it's something that you would have to do with like family members, people who you kind of either have to talk to, or I don't know. Yeah, family members and friends really the only thing I can think of because they're the people you're around most. But like when it comes to like online discourse, I don't know. I don't think I'm not sure there is a solution for that. Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I guess the only way really is kind of what we're doing now, which is unfortunate. Responding to threads on Twitter and things like that. It's just so ineffective. I mean, you have the law of large numbers, so eventually, the more you do it, or the more people who are, engaging in that on Twitter or fucking Facebook or whatever, uh, it'll work with some people. Some people will eventually have their minds changed, but it's just not. I don't think it's effective long term. I think it just pushes most people back into their, echo chambers. So, yeah, I guess I don't have a solution. I don't think we're going to solve it in like a stream or something, but who knows? Maybe eventually. Hmm. Let's see. What else is there to talk about? What else is there to talk about? Um, I mean, that's pretty much what I wanted to get off of my chest uh, about that, about, modern discourse and uh, just, principles in general. I think it's important to, first of all, have principles, and secondly, to have them well thought out. Because I think it's a lot easier to apply them to situations. You know, someone says, "What would you do in this situation?" Well, apply your principles to it, and the solution comes rather easily most of the time. Obviously, not all, most, not all. Um, and that's why when we're doing our normal show, Robert will ask me like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" Well, I apply principle to whatever the question is, and that allows me to come up with an answer pretty quick. Now, obviously, those are on the spot questions, and so they're not well thought out. But that gives me the opportunity to kind of do what I'm doing now and, think out loud and basically test the principle, see if it's a good, solid principle or not. And, yeah, it'll allow you to kind of think about the situation from the perspective of applying the principle. If that makes sense, I might just be rambling still, but who knows? Let's see. Alright, so we got 3 viewers right now. If you guys want to jump in the chat and, you know, let me know what you think. Should I keep doing these? I was planning on going for about an hour, but I've kind of already said everything I wanted to say in half the time. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys have a topic you want to talk about? Do you guys have questions, concerns, cheap shots, anything like that? If not, I'll go ahead and end the stream here. Let's see. And I'll probably be doing another stream tomorrow. Probably maybe a little later than I am now because I think most people are at work, or at least the people who aren't quarantined right now. And maybe I'll do a drunk stream later. That could be fun. What do you guys think about that? Should I do a drunk stream later? Maybe we'll get Robert on for that if he's available. I'll find someone else. I mean, either way, I'll figure it out. But yeah, so we actually have some exciting stuff coming up. I'll go ahead and throw this in the middle while I'm waiting for a topic to come to mind. On Friday, April 10th, we're going to be doing a charity stream for people who have been affected financially by the coronavirus. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you're there. We're going to be there from streaming from noon to midnight Eastern Time, the only real time zone. Um, so that's going to be a hell of a time. I can't wait. Charity streams are my favorite thing that we do on this channel. I mean, one, it's a lot of fun hanging out with people and goofing off and not having to talk about politics and news all the time. It's nice to kind of relax a bit and just shoot the shit with people. And obviously it's for a good cause, right? So we get to help people and have fun at the same time. I mean, you can't beat it. So yeah, those are my favorite thing, and also I'm a huge believer in charity, and kind of want to put my literally put my money where my mouth is, because I always talk about how we don't need the government, we can help each other through charity, and that people will do that if they know that the government's not going to take care of them, and that a lot of the time people don't give to charity because they know that, oh well, you can just go get welfare, or you can just go suckle at the government teat. So I like to kind of, obviously that's going back to principle, living by the principle that charity is a better way of helping others than the government is. And so I like to, that's why I like doing the charity streams. Well, you can just go, so we'll be doing that, and that's going to be great, because obviously we can't trust the government to help us. I mean, they've got this like $1,000 check thing, it's being held up by Madam Pelosi. They're just dragging their heels on it, or dragging their asses on it. And even so, I mean, it's $1,000. You know what I mean? Like that, it's nice, but it's a nice thought. It's a nice way of saying like, hey, stop being mad. Here's some money. But it ultimately won't help most people's situation, right? I mean, yeah, you might be able to pay your rent that month, which is awesome, but it doesn't help any kind of long term anything. And most people need more than that. And I think that as a community of, people, as just a nation, we can help each other. And I think that charity is the best way to do that. So we'll be doing that charity stream. It's gonna be awesome. Can't wait. And I've been messaging some, more high profile YouTubers to kind of spread the word and help us out. So that'll be cool. I always like talking to them. Uh, talking to people who've been in this game way longer than we have, and who have had obviously much more success than we have. So that's always a good time. Especially people that you've watched for years. That's just it's amazing. To be able to have them on your show, especially if they're nice enough to come, to go onto like a microscopic channels, stream. That's really nice, and I hope that if for some reason I gain that kind of success, that that I would be the same way. You know, remembering where you came from, and helping others out. So yeah, with that, I think I'm gonna end the stream now. Um, but that was good. Good little test for my first episode of Thinking Out Loud with John. I'll definitely be doing more of these in the future, but I think I'll be doing them a little later on in the day, just so that most people are, home from work and things like that, because I'm now only working 3 days a week. So, um, I got nothing else to do. I don't really have too many hobbies, at least from people that, oh shit. Hey John, one quick question. Alright, Jake. And Boulder Vaughn just got here. Sweet. I'll continue then if you guys want to hang out. I was just going to end because, you know, I didn't have anyone to talk to. I was all alone. But yeah, I guess we'll wait around for Jake's question. And Boulder Vaughn, what's up, man? I was just talking about the Freedom Scoop charity stream we're gonna be doing. So make sure we rewind a few minutes, and as I ramble on about the principle of charity and you know acting on your principles. I hope that was I hope that was valuable. So yeah, what's the question, Jake? What do you got for me? Boulder, Colorado goes on lockdown tonight at 5 p.m. Man, that's insane. Yeah, that's insane. 5 p.m.'s a little early. Nice. You heard about that stream? I hope so, Boulder. I hope so. Do you think the Dow climbing 2,000 points today has any influence on the sudden news blast of kids and celebrities dying from coronavirus? Or during, no, dying from coronavirus? So I think the Dow climbing 2,000 points today has any influence on the sudden news blast of kids and celebrities dying from corona. No, I think that was inevitable. Um, I don't know because we've been hearing about celebrities, being sick and their little virtue signally, uh, or they're like either virtue signaling about it or crying about how they have to live in their mansions stay in their mansions for days. You know how hard it is to be them. Nobody understands. Um, but yeah, we've been hearing about that for like a couple weeks now. Now with people dying and stuff. I mean, I think that's just how long it takes. I don't know anything about the Dow climbing 2,000 points, and I also don't know why that matters. I never understood why people, you'll see it on the news. They'll be like, "Oh, the Dow Jones is up however many points." Like, I don't know, is that how we measure how good our economy is? By how high the Dow Jones stocks are? I don't even know what Dow Jones does, to be honest. I just know that apparently they're important. So, whatever. Did some celebrity die? I heard some musician died. A saxophone player or something. I saw that. I don't know who he was, but I'm not big in the saxophone scene. So, yeah, no idea. But yeah, I'm glad I finally figured out how to stream. That's pretty sweet. Hmm. Wonder how I turn on this restream thing so you can see it on my screen. I don't know. I'll figure that out outside the stream. It's the top 500 companies' values. Wait, the Dow Jones. That's what the Dow Jones is. It's the top 500 companies. Oh, a famous playwright. Interesting. I didn't know people were still making plays, like still writing them. I know they do them. Anyways, that's all you got. All right. Well, what'd you guys think about, this? I guess this format of me just kind of talking at you and thinking out loud about things. Um, Me just coming on here and rambling at you. Is that something you guys would want to see more of, or what? I mean, I'll do it on different topics, um, and they'll probably be generally short. I was done within half an hour of kind of explaining everything I wanted to, so that was nice. Yeah, let me know what you guys think, and then I'll get the hell out of here. But I probably will be doing top 30. I'll probably be doing a drunk stream later. I think that does sound fun. Jake liked it. Well, Jake, you have to like it. It's a Freedom Scoop thing. It's good interaction. Yeah, I mean, we always try to interact with the chat because I know that's my favorite part of watching a stream live. Is I guess having your name acknowledged and whatever you're saying, acknowledge. Um, it's kind of that like parasocial relationship that people have with YouTubers. It's really fascinating. Maybe that's something I'll talk about sometime on a stream. Is parasocial relationships and the psychological effects they have on you. Because that's a fascinating subject. It really is. So I might do that like tomorrow or Thursday. That sounds really interesting. But yeah, thank you, Jake. I appreciate it. Just keep up the good work. Yeah, man. I will do my best. And unless there's anything else, then I'll go ahead and end the stream. What I need to do. Okay, I'll put in the description all the stuff afterwards. I haven't been doing that. But yeah, yeah. Let me know if you want me to do a drunk stream later. I'll just kind of not sure what I would do. I like shorter vids. I think 2 hour videos are hard to watch. Yeah, um, we've realized that because we don't get a lot of views after the stream. When we do our normal Friday episodes, we don't really get. We might get 2 or 3 extra views afterwards. It's all about being there live. Uh, that people will actually sit around and watch us. So we might adjust that time the 2 hours because we do find ourselves kind of filling time sometimes. But all right, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream, and I'll probably stream later. I'm not sure what I'll talk about. I'll just kind of let it take over and let it happen organically. So yeah, I'll see you guys later on tonight.